just a little over an hour. So we're going to try and concentrate tonight on the formation of the band. How it started. We maybe, going forward, might liaise and see if we can do a few of these sessions. Because there's that many stories, that many good stories, that we don't want lost, that need to be recorded for future. Especially in 2 years' time, we're coming up to our 50th anniversary. So, when I was asked to talk here tonight, I'm not like Garvagh, by the way, he was able to do it without any prompts. I have a list of sheets here. The whole idea of this evening was supposed to be bands and their relevance within Northern Ireland. So whenever I was asked to give a talk about bands and their relevance within Northern Ireland, my initial reaction was to base the talk about my own band, Moneydig Young Conquerors. Bands in general play a very important role within Northern Ireland. We can discuss benefits to the economy, benefits to mental health and well-being, benefits to general health, out marching, benefits to tourism, and much, much more. The one that maybe is overlooked, not maybe spoken about, is how Blood and Thunder bands provided an outlet for young men to outwardly display their Britishness in the face of Republican bombings and shootings, and maybe remove the temptation to join militant loyalist groupings. The Dig, like many other Blood and Thunder bands, provided an outlet for the disgruntled youth. They filled the void, and in doing so kept loyalists away from violence and jail sentences. We had just heard from Garvagh, and yes, some people did take up the fight, and they paid a price for that. To put this into context, on the 12th of June 1973, the same year that the band was formed, Sinn Féin IRA member Sean McClinchy bombed Coleraine. The first bomb exploded on Railway Road, killing 6 people and injuring 33. Several lost limbs and were disabled for life. This was the same year that this band was formed. I'm trying to paint the picture, I'm trying to give you an idea of the climate that was happening at that time. Just 3 years later, in 1976, Sinn Féin IRA murdered 10 Protestant civilians at Kingsmills in County Armagh. They lined the workmen up and sprayed them with bullets simply for being Protestant. Also in 1976, locally to us, Sinn Féin IRA detonated 8 firebombs within 10 minutes, destroying 16 shops in Portrush. This was what was happening in our country at the time that these young loyalist men formed the Moneydig Young Defenders. Wishing to defend the Protestant cause, their faith and their community through forming this Flute band. We must give them immense credit. How much easier would it have been to fight violence with violence, rather than the huge undertaking of forming a band? Moneydig proudly and defiantly sported red, white and blue in their uniforms, and voiced their opposition to Republicans through the expression of music. Moneydig was a new breed of flute band, bringing back a life and vitality to the loyalist cause that was to spread across Ulster and into the hearts of the loyalist people. The Dig were trendsetters. Ulster people have a long tradition of storytelling from generation to generation, but unfortunately, if these stories are not catalogued, information can be lost through the mists of time. So we thank South London Area and Tyrone Development Group for inviting ourselves and band members to record some of the stories which might otherwise have been lost. I spoke to our bandmaster Kenny McPhee a week before he sadly passed away on Tuesday the 1st of February about including the band and our participation as part of this series of talks. Kenny was more than happy for us to get involved. He said if he wasn't so ill, he would be the first name on our panel, and rightly so. We had actually discussed before COVID took its grip about recording the founder member stories in our Orange Walligivy, but with COVID this was put in the back burner. So I am delighted we have now made a start, facilitated by South London Dairy and Tyrone Development Group, on constructively recording the band's history. So Kenny discussed with me who should be on this panel. We thought that for this night the panel should be founding member and Moneydig stalwart Robert Glass. You can put a hand up there, Robert. Long-serving member and one of the original members, Desmond Smith, a past bandmaster, and whose son Peter is a key member of our committee. You can put your hand up, Des. Amos Dockery, who played the bass drum for many years with zeal and determination. Councillor Adrian McQueen, a key member of this band during a short period of uncertainty, a past bandmaster and a past worship master for Gibby 361. We also invited, and we want to just maybe mention this, and founding members Robin McQueen and Sam Cole, who were unfortunately unable to attend, but sent their heartfelt well wishes to the band. Tonight is most certainly not about me and my story within the band, but due to the sad news of our bandmaster Kenny McPhee's passing, I would like to speak first about my close friend and how he brought me to the band. Kenny gave the band 30 years continuous service and served the band as both treasurer and bandmaster, and as previously mentioned, he helped to organise this event tonight. My family had been involved in marching bands for over 100 years. My great-grandfather played the bass drum and formed Ballyrashane band. My grandfather and his brothers all drummed or bass drummed in Ballyrashane. So it'll come as no surprise that when I was old enough to drum, that was the band I wanted to join. I asked the bandmaster Noel Lennox for a drum in the 12th Fields in 1993, but unfortunately they had a waiting list for drummers. No luck. This is where Kenny steps in. Kenny, his brother Alan, Peter Dodger Morrow, a current member of the band and a past member, and a couple from other bands would hold the band practice of sorts at the back of the school bus on the way to school. Hard seats at the back of the Ulster buses. No luxury like Causeway Coach. That was a wee plug there. In those days, so a couple of coins made great drumsticks, and a slap of the hand in the window would often would make for a great loud bass drum. Good times. Although the bus driver would often stop the bus and tell us to quit the party tunes, we did. Then half a mile later struck up the Ulster bus band once more. It was during one of these bus journeys that I said to Kenny, I'd love to drum in a band. Both Ballywillan and Ballyrashane had enough in their drum corps. Kenny gets things organised and done. He simply replied, come to my band, M.Y.C.F.B, I'll get you a drum. Typical from Kenny, get things done. I knew nothing about Moneydig. In 1993, when I joined, we had no YouTube clips to look at. We must be thankful to the select few who worked tirelessly, some might say relentlessly, to record band parades week in, week out. Both Richard McDonald, who has came to video this event, and also our very own member, Ruth Watson, have done sterling work in recording and editing parades. Anyhow, my point being, I knew nothing about Moneydig band. I only joined the band as if it was good enough for my best mate Kenny, it was good enough for me. As a side note, I later learned that my mum and my Stuart were cousins, and we're related, but I didn't know that or anything about the band. Kenny's dad, William Hardy McPhee, was bandmaster at the time I joined, and he went 8 miles out of his way to take me for band practice. 8 miles. I hope that by being in the band 29 years this September, and having 3 sons also in the band, that I have made Hardy's taxi driving worthwhile and somewhat repaid his faith in me. When I joined, the membership numbers were poor, but at that time I didn't care. I didn't care if we had 9 flutes or 11 flutes, I just wanted to parade. It mattered to some though. Maybe some who possibly could recollect the large numbers that the band had in previous years. Thankfully, the band was very much going from strength to strength, thanks to Kenny and all the work on the committee behind the scenes. One last wee story about Kenny. I spoke with Paul Elliott, a member of Drumdur Loyalist Kitty, after Kenny's passing, and he recalled how when his band were in Ballymoney, he fancied a cup of tea. Paul is a Christian and was not interested in visiting bars about town, but at parades he would rather have a warm cuppa and a chat with fellow bandsmen. That evening in Ballymoney, all the coffee shops were closed, so Paul made his way to Tesco in Ballymoney to see if they could get a take-out tea. Alas, there was no tea or coffee machine, but on the way out of Tesco, he happened to bump into the manager, Kenny. At the checkout, where he lamented about the lack of tea facilities in Ballymoney, Kenny said, not to worry. He took Paul to the staff room door, got him a cuppa out of a china cup with biscuits. They both chatted for 15 minutes about bands and how everyone was keeping. That was the measure of Kenny. He did everything possible to help others. I wanted a drum, he sorted it. Paul wanted a cup of tea, he sorted it. He has sorted so much for all the band members that are here, past and present. He was loved and respected by all the members of the M.Y.C., and without doubt will be sorely and sadly missed. He was M.Y.C. The scene is set as summer 1973 in Moneydig, when a group of young loyalist bandsmen became disillusioned with the lack of motivation of their local band, and the efforts to promote change from within was met with opposition. They decided to start a new independent band of their own design, which would have greater appeal to the younger generation. Adrian McQuillan joined the band in 1976. He had previously drummed with Conquerors, who Adrian will have to explain who they are whenever I pass the mic over to you, because I've never even heard of those. And was afforded the opportunity to drum in the band when they were a drummer short in Kilray at a parade. Mervyn Stewart said to Adrian that he could drum for the dig that night and reached him a uniform out of his car. Adrian took the drum back to Mervyn the following Monday night to be told he could hold on to it. So Adrian grabbed the drum in case he changed his mind. Adrian was bandmaster when the band got new uniforms in 1989 and is actively involved in a Garvagh LOL 361. So tonight I'm going to pass the mic first to Adrian, who'll maybe discuss what it felt like in that first parade, what it felt like to finally get a drum for the band. You tried to flute for a while first, but folks, we'll go through the panel, and then what we'll do is we'll open up the floor to questions at the very end. We'll let every panelist speak, and then we'll open up the floor if anybody has any questions that they'd like to ask them. So, could you put your hands together for Adrian? Give him a big clap.
First of all, I want to say a big thanks for inviting me here tonight to talk about the band. The band's something that's really close to my heart, and Kenny was really close to my heart as well. And Kenny was the sort of guy, you know, you sit to Kenny, I saw a wee grant out, Kenny there, might do the band, might do the Lloyds. Yeah, my big man, I'll look at it tomorrow. Next thing you got a phone call, maybe the next evening, 6, 7 o'clock. Hey sir, I have an application form in there for the band and the Lloyds. You know, and that's the way it was done. And if you, whenever you are down in our wall, you're looking around at the new heaters and the TV and stuff. Keep thinking of Kenny, because Kenny's the boy who got all that stuff there. Kenny's the boy who put the effort in to go that extra mile to get that stuff. And Kenny, I'll always remember it all, because every time you look into that furniture we have, Kenny was one of the main guys to get it. I pointed him in the direction and Kenny just went away and got it then. And we worried about the rest after how we were going to get the receipts, and some of the stuff was bought receipts, some of the stuff wasn't bought with receipts, and carry on like that there. But I'll talk to you now about what we're originally going to be talking about. I was 1974, I was 9 years of age, whenever these boys here all decided to start this band for Moneydig. I left it. I wanted to be up there in the end, but Chris, my ma wouldn't allow me to come here. Them boys were all mad. She said, you know, wouldn't let me go out with them at all or nothing else. And every chance I got, I was away. First, started off, before the band was even go on the road, they started off going out selling tickets around Bandura and Ballymoney and Ballamore, stuff. And I slept in Robin's car. Robin, he was going, so I was in the car, I wouldn't go out. How he took me. So I was in the car and sailed about around the country with them all, and dogs were chasing them, people were chasing them, everything else. But come on to time, and I joined Conquerors band. Conquerors band was a wee old-fashioned flip band, and just about 3 miles from Moneydig. My grandfather was in the Lloyds in Conquerors, and that's how it was sort of our family band, and that's how I got into that. And I can remember the 12th in Garvagh, I was going for Conquerors, and we were starting off up the Fort Road, and Moneydig was there too. They were all starting off too. But I was over chatting away to Moneydig boys, Robin and Bomber, Des here, and now man Pew Torrance. I think he actually owned that do creamery, or something to do with that do creamery anyway. But he gave me a telling after. He said to me, here boy, come away from them boys here, get over here where you belong. And I thought to myself, go on you ignorant now, and so you know, but don't say no, I just come over and jumped away. But at this stage I was up in the band hall. The band hall at that stage was up in Wally Stewart's, and the wee band hall built on the side of the house. 2 or 3 band halls before that, and Bomber and Dazzle got into the Endless, and we were up the hills and we were down in San Jesus. But these boys will talk about that. And I was learning to flip, but I had never had any chance to flip. And this day I'd love to flip. I can really follow it just about, and that's at the height of it, you know. So Flute wasn't going to be for me. So this night they were parading Correa, and I was there, I had a wee white jumper and all on, the same as the band. I got it somewhere, I don't know where she got it, but it wasn't the same as the band jumpers. The band jumpers had thick red, white and blue around the sleeve hole. For mine, just had a wee thin line of red, white and blue around the sleeve. And red shorts at the time, and I had a Bay City roller shirt on me. A red Bay City roller shirt with stars in the colour on it. Ah, some boy, I was cool. But we're standing up where Kenny Bradley's is now in Correa. It was a wee phone station called Sam Ponce's at the time, and the band was getting sorted out. They were going to be playing up to Orange Wall till we were started at, and they were gathering up the drummers and stuff, and we were a drummer too late. And I was standing with my mouth open, trying to hint to Mike to give me a drum, Mike, give me a drum, I'll drum, And I said to him, but he didn't just give it to me straight away. He looked around and see if anybody else, but last resort he reached me a drum. He said, you're going to hit a drum here, sir. So I knew my man, they were up the street, sitting in the car, in the band crate up the street. And I thought, what am I going to say now while I'm up the street, me walking up here in the front of the band, and what are they going to say to me? So that was alright. We was up the street and come home that night, and my ma said to me, what the hell are you doing in there, sir? How'd you get in there? And I said, after a short drummer, but I had a drum here tonight, but I'll take it back up to band practice Monday night and get back to him. So Monday night come, and I took the drum up, and I said to Mike, there's that drum and them sticks and strap and all back again. He said to me, he looked at me as if I had to, what are you doing, sir? He says, do you not want it? Yes, I said, I want it, alright, I want it. I said, I thought only had it for the one night. So you take that way and you keep it. And that was my first run out with the band. And that was me in it till 1994, I think, around 93, 94 I left. And still great. Look forward to seeing Moneydig no matter where we're at. Very proud to walk behind them on the 12th of July with the Garvagh Lloyds. And I can remember going back years ago, there were man George Porter in this town, and never liked Moneydig for some reason. I don't know why he didn't like Moneydig, but he didn't like Moneydig, and I put a bet on me a long time. I says Moneydig would be leading Garvagh district before the year 2000. And he looked at me and said, Moneydig will never lead Garvagh district. And I'm happy to say I won that bet. And now, whenever it was up at this meeting, I looked in my band to go to the big parade in Belfast, the Centenary Parade. First band was named Moneydig Band. So that makes me proud whenever I know we have a band that we're fit to say it will come and lead us in it, we're a cal, and being proud for the whole district and proud to be associated with Moneydig Band. But basically that's my story and how I got involved with the band. And then the Lloyds, and these boys will tell you a wee bit about the Lloyds, how the Lloyds got to Garvagh as well. But my story I wasn't there now, but Mike told me all these out stories before he died. Me and him used to go out and do a bit of walking and do a bit of riding the bicycles. We never pedalled maybe too far, but we done plenty of chatting anyway. And he told me that Carnroe band had been off the road anyway after that there. And they thought we'll go and get Carnroe Lloyds for the band. The band had led a couple of Lloyds away the first couple of years away. The first year was Tobermore. I was there that year. Tobermore with no Lloyds. And then Ballycastle that year after that was aye. But anyway, they come down to Carnroe looking to see if they could lead the Garvagh Lloyds on the 12th of July. I was sitting in well because it was close to Moneydig, that would have been walking in the Garvagh district and all the rest of everything would have played into their hands. But whenever mine, I think Walmer, you were there too, a new man called Harry Arbuthnott was the master of the Lloyds there. Went to the gate, I don't even think they got through the gate, but Mrs. Arbuthnott came out with the brush and chased them out the gate with the brush, battering them with the brush, putting them back in the car and said, get you boys back to Moneydig. He said, we don't want any use sort down here. So Carnroe Lloyds today is after the road. After that there, I think Mike and Palmer and Robin and who else was there, but one Sam Cole probably as well, went to down to see Albert Shirlow with the Garvagh Lloyds. The difference with Albert Shirlow and Mrs. Shirlow was they took the boys in, gave them a cup of tea, had a chat with them. What's this band about and all the rest, and they tapped away. Well, Albert had the foresight to see that, well, if we get this band down, maybe we can build the Lloyds up. The Lloyds wasn't big numbers at that time, either. Maybe 6, 8 members that the Garvagh Lloyds had. So Albert took them in, and the story between the Garvagh Lloyds and Moneydig band started then, and it's going strong to this day. And we're all in the Lloyds now. If it wasn't for Moneydig boys in the Lloyds, there would be no Lloyds there. It's Moneydig boys that run the Lloyds. except for there's one or two boys in Ballygolly here enough as well, but we'll let that suck on and say no, believe that. Well, basically that's my story, folks, there, and that's how I got involved in the band, and happy enough to answer any questions there. What up, say?
Can you just put your hands together again, please? Robert Glass fluted for Moneydig band The Lily. They had 12 flutes, 4 side drums, and a bass drum at that time, and the band attended about 4 parades in a year. Mike Stern introduced Robert to Sam Cole, and Sam played him some tunes he had never heard before. They decided to approach the lodge and ask them to collect for new uniforms and to give Sam Cole the job of training us in new music. And I'm now going to hand over to Robert, who will maybe be able to discuss how that conversation went and about the setting up of the band. Put your hands together, please, for Robert.
Right, everybody here, I'm glad to see you here. Unlike you'd be as well educated as the rest of these boys, or as well used in speaking. But I'll tell you, some of the articles that were known. As everybody knows, in the 70s there was a lot of wars, there was troubles with IRA, they were blowing up and murdering people within our area, and around the doors. And I was Moneydig old band, The Lily. Old band, there was 12 fluters, as Rox had said, on the band. And Mervyn Stewart, my friend, was on it, and we decided that we'd try and gather up numbers for to increase the band size. So there weren't much transport down like we had back in the 70s, maybe £10 a week, £12 a week wages. And we spent maybe £5 or £6 a week sailing in the roads, trying to get friends to come to join the Lily. And we increased the band up from 12 fluters, there were 12 fluters in Moneydig band around 1970, 69, 70. My sister was on it, my brother was on it, I was on it, Uncle Hammock with big drum on it. And we successfully gathered up the band to about 26, 27 fluters, the Lily band. The following year we went to approach the lodge, could we go out and collect some money around the doors to get a uniform. Everybody had a pair of wee short black trousers. If you were lucky, you had a pair of long black trousers at that time. And a white shirt in the 12th, so we were deciding to get a uniform, a pair of trousers and a shirt, more or less was a uniform then. And we approached the lodge, could they assist us and we would go out and collect to raise money for this uniform. So the lodge invited us to tell the band practice, and also we wanted to take Sam Cole West to learn them a wee of tunes that he had learned up around the shank on Belfast. That's where he was up at practice and stuff up there, and he learned a lot of good tunes. Never heard before around this area. And they agreed to meet us after the lodge meeting. So we went on the district worship, the district master of Moneydig at that time. We asked him could we go collect for funds to get uniforms to hound this group of members that we gathered up to keep the band going. And the words he told us, or he told me that night, was, we're not going to be a begging band or a begging lodge. And I was disappointed at us spending our wee pound that we had left over for our wages after we gave them our pocket money. I said to myself, no, that's me finished. So we decided to lay there, and I told them that night, since I will be down the road next year with a band, and that was some tale like. At that time, with the money we had. And Mervyn Stewart, my friend, and myself left the hall, plus Sam Cole, walked out of the hall. And we started, and went round Moneydig, round the rain town and we gathered up, I think it was a 10 or 11 members of Moneydig that to start the new Conquerors. And that was fluters and one drummer on it. We went on then, and we jumped in the car and went to Mahara, Tobermore, Cookstown, McCoscombe, Abbey, Kehenny, and round to Vili. And we managed to gather up enough to get the band started. And the first year the band, we had the band out on the road. We had 21 flitters. And these 21 named as Mervyn Stewart, one of the founding members, Owen Stewart is all, George Stewart, Dale Smith here beside me, George Smith, Dermot Smith and William Smith, Sam Cole, myself, Ronnie Lanton, Bert Nelson, Sammy Evans, that's my grandman, Billy Walton, Bert Anderson, Kenny Moore, Harry McPhee, Kenny McPhee's father, Jeff Wiley, Michael Laverty, Sash Anderson and Wilbert Yard. That was the first 21 flitters in the band. We also, our drummers was my friend Ron McQuillan, the first drummer we had, and we got Jim Watton, Davy Laverty, Willie McClellan, Big Chiefy Smith, the big drum, George Smith, from Moneydig too. The cymbal man was Sammy Walton, and Reggie Laverty with the pole band. That was our first band. We did get enough money gathered up in it, and we had nowhere to practice, nothing. So there was a hall up beside home. Well, only a hall, it was a nursing hut. That was Moneydig shooting range, the beach specials hut and shooting range. So we went there to practice, 2 tally lamps and up the road, up the lane, well, no road, maybe about for here, the bottom of the Garvagh, we had to walk up through and down planting. And then to practice. And we practiced the flute and learning these new tunes and all. There were no sits or anything on it. And we got a visit a couple of nights for the police. So we blew at the tally lamp when they seen coming up the house. They come up and start fluting, they disappeared, and we started again. And we kept them at the practice. We got our practice done. So we allowed them, we would need to be turned around and see how we get on. So I said to once in the Lily band that we'll be down the next year we have band our year. So I come down to Moneydig Orange Hall on the 11th of July, and we had successfully collected enough money around to get ourselves a uniform. We bought white jerseys and the ladies' knitting club in Coleraine down Wigan, and they cost us £10 each. I mean, not the best. They were white with red and blue around the cuffs, around the necks and around the bottoms. And we get up together and we get a pair of, I think it's maybe black trousers the first year. I don't think we could afford it, the blue trousers the second year. But we went and bought second-hand drums and flutes and on we went. We got enough geared up to get us in order. So on the 11th night when I was in the Lily band, I used to leave Moneydig, walk down to the crossroads and McVenus and Cairn Road, or McVenus and Kehenny, sorry, come up and met us there. Went to the top of the 4 buses and down and met Cairn Road. And then we come back again. But this was our first night out and I stopped outside Moneydig Orange Hall. It was my delight. I was able to get a band together and blow in their nose a wee bit. And you know the way you day when you're a young boy. But anyway, I stopped outside the Orange Hall and we played Maggie. That was the first tune that we played outside Orange Hall. And I mean the best, the worshipful master, the Lord that refused us the money, he wasn't happy of it. But there were a couple of members on Moneydig Out band that lived down the road for us, or Moneydig Out Lodge, and come across and shook our hands and said to us, that's the first time I heard that tune played for 18 and something or whatever it was, he told me. He says, we won the competition that year, that was out Lally band. And he shook our hand and said, glad to see you in the road. So we followed them down to Cairn Road and back up on the 11th night. And usually, as you know yourself, we would be headed Garvagh after it. And that was 2 or 3 in the morning before we left Garvagh on the 11th night. When I got home and headed after the 12th and the 12th of July, we no lodge. And we slept down with Garvagh district, prayed at the 12th, no bother. Next year come, before the next year come, we went down, instead of going up to the beach specials hut, there was an old stables down over the strand in Moneydig. And it was only that day went out stone bolting with a wee door on it, and the door was rotten. And Mag and us fell till it, took the door off, and made a wee benches sits round the side of it, and a blackbird in the wall, put on a wee concrete floor and we practiced on there. Until the district decided then that Moneydig couldn't walk in Garvagh district as a lodge because we had no lodge. And then as Adrian says here, we did, because Robin McQuillan was on Karen Road and John for Karen Road. Robin and us approached Karen Road to lead them. They wanted to hear tell us. So then we went to the Garvagh Hall, to Garvagh to Albert Shirley and them, and they said, Shirley, go ahead, we'll take you on and leave it with behaviours, society of war. So we let them, the second year we didn't go, the second year we had to go independently. We took Drumaheglis at Ballinamore to lead them in the 12th. And we actually got paid for it. I can't mind now, but it could have been £100. It was big money at that time for leading them in the 12th. But it wasn't a great 12th because whenever we went and laid them in the morning, and then went away to the parade, and you walked along the field, and you were just turning around the field in Ballycastle and come back again, and then back early Ballinamore. And I allowed no, we wouldn't be going there again if we could manage it. But it kept us on the road the second year. And in the third year, as I say, Albert Giroux and them took us on because the Garvagh pipe band had fell through. But was maybe the district trying to convince the rest of the bands of the lodges in the area not to take us. That was a big ask for a man today to step up and more or less say to the district, I'll take them on.
Can I interrupt you just there for months? Just to be fair, the year the band went to Ballycastle, I think it done the district a favour for it took the problem out of the road. And they thought they had got rid of the band going to Ballycastle, and they had that same place away near the road were alright. But in the background, they were still annoying telling the lodges, don't be touching them boys, stay away from them boys, because this was all coming from some members of the Valley Lodge who were still bitter about the boys leaving to go and start. Because remember these boys all left the Lily band, they put them off the road altogether. And they had an bitter thing on them, and actually that bitter thing run on right to 1977. I can remember it was the Queen's Jubilee here in Garvagh. The Lily came on and forgot a big drum. And we had 3 big drums at the time, and we offered one of our big drums to get them up the street, come up with the rest of the band, and they wouldn't beat it up. They wouldn't play it, they would rather not walk us beat their big drum up the street. So that shows you the bitterness was in them men right up at that time. That was 1977, that was 3 or 4 years after the band started being on the road. Let Walmer finish on there.
That's right. No, we were happy to give it to us all. We learned the Garvagh Lodge from them to now, and I'm a member of the Garvagh Lodge. I've never done the Garvagh Lodge. I joined the Garvagh Lodge because they gave us a chance as young men to voice our opinion. At that time, it was the first, as I call it, kick the poop band in this area, and there were a lot of elderly folk that didn't want to hear tell it. And we were dancing in the street, and there was one dancing behind us, and that we wouldn't get down too well with the elderly. But we kept going. We got the flags there in front of us there too, 4 or 5 flag beams swinging in front of us. And the band was really going. The next couple of years, I would say maybe doubled our numbers. And we did get the uniform. Then we also, at that time, the bars was going on strong, like I was in the EDR shortly after, the bars was bad, and the young people in the country had nobody, I think, leadership to really pull us out of this bar. And that was difficult times, and there weren't money or nothing then. And we were happy enough then. Ian Beardy started then, and he went in the Kerson Walk. And we went well as a band, and led him through a lot of his grades and supported him. And in later years, they had returned their favour to us. Like at our dedication, the year Hardy was the bandmaster. I'm not used to counting me. The memory's not.
1994 was
94 was the 94.
1989 was the.
And he got down to the dedication of the uniforms in Garvagh, and he read this out on the platform. When I think of Moneydig band, I think of white jumpers and the Blood and Thunder band back in 1974. There and when they were first seen and heard in Ulster streets during the Kersen Trail days, and they were one of the bands that were always present at difficult times and rallies. And that's a few of the words that he said on the platform that night in Garvagh. And he appreciated us doing what we did. At that time, the IRA was getting their way, and big time, there were a lot of lives being lost, there were a lot of people being hunted out of their farms and houses, and they did damage to this wee country, ours boys, and it was only for the like Moneydig young Conquerors and other bands that had the, I don't know, foresight to see it. Somebody had we couldn't do nothing through our politicians, or they disbanded the big space of the men that was looking after. The majority of the people in the country at that time, they were on the UDR, and the UDR's hands was tied, because I remember of it myself. And like, the Protestants was getting a bad hymn, and I think whenever they arrested them, seen that the majority of young people in Northern Ireland, Protestants, went into good Blood and Thunder bands. Whenever we walked up in the town, like Kilray and stuff, they were quacking themselves, because they knew if they threw a stone at us, we'd have been in the street, they would have put the van up with a bus stop. You know, and that was the only way you could have got on at that time. You had to stand your ground, boys, you had to fend for yourself. You know, the younger ones today doesn't realise sort of what the troubles were like. I'm glad to see so much past, but as the previous speaker on here was saying, that's not all over yet, you know. So I was just asked here to say a word or two, and thank yourself for listening, and I'll not say no more. But the only thing I would like to say is, all the bandmasters, first bandmaster was M.Y.C.F.B, Merton Stewart, and Sam Cole and myself and Robin McQueen was in the secretary and treasurer and stuff like that there, and the band, and I'm really proud that we done it. I was on the band from it was formed, and me and Robin McQueen, two of the founding members, left 17 years after that. And the band, 17 years after I left, they were maybe glad to get rid of me at the time, I don't know. I was married, and I moved to Limavady, and I'm still in Limavady. I still come down till that day. The Garvagh, I'm a member of the Garvagh Hall, I'm a member of the band. The Garvagh Lodge, as Adrian says, all the us young boys in the band joined the Lodge to support the Lodge because of the decision they made to help us on our way. And I would just like to thank all the bandmasters and the band that has come after me, and all the friends that we have lost, some through difficult times, even one coming from a band priest. There's be reading it later on. And like Gary here and his wife sitting here over in this beside us. There was plenty of Hardy's father. Like all them boys put their heart and soul into this band. And it's not only like us that started it, it's the ones that carried it on. And I'm glad to be living and see it go on. And I hope when I'm around 6 foot below that the band won't still be on the road and they're on the same going for Saturday stuff. So I encourage all the young boys now to go and try and get 2 men each to join the band. And then when they join the band, bring them 2 men on their lodge, where I'm here not, and I'll keep the thing going. We had to keep control of the situation somehow. So thanks very much, guys.
Robert, whenever I said earlier about the band being trendsetters, Moneydig played it with 3 land-bag drums in the middle of the band, is that right? What more, you know, the thinking, I was told, I was chatting to Sam Cole one time, and he said to me, we have flaggers at the front, and we thought about it. And we thought, what could annoy Republicans even more? If the girls waved the flags. So other bands didn't do it around the country. We were trendsetters. How many other bands in the country could say that they had 3 land-bag drums, that if the Lily needed a drum, they could afford to give them one? And the loud healer, which is... and also, in terms of dance ensemble players, and the pole men, was that common at that time with other bands?
Oh, never trendsetter.
That's the reason how we got the healer there at just Fangerland. We went to London, and that was a big go years after, and the bus, and we were over at the protest to get the changing of the name of Londonderry to Derry, which they wanted today, and we went to London as a full band, taking the name changed, and the Sunday man was very lively. The time Garvagh, well, some years when they made it, the time Garvagh had the barns down the street, down the 2 sides that you weren't allowed to park in the town, the time of wars, for fear of bombs to left beside the shops. Or some man just to get around and jump up in the barn, trapped them down on the street, up and down the barn. So we went to London, and we were going down London Street, and I think it was Sam says to the sample man, he says, there's a loud healer there that policeman had there, the big twin cabs in London. He said we could do that for shooting in the tunes. And Sammy said, no problem, he said, I'll get it. So he done jumped up and tapped the cymbals and the speaker and brought it back there. And we brought a hymnist, and that's what we had for the speaker in the band. We changed it to tunes for the band. It was all good fun.
just on the raid in London.
What year was that?
Oh, I think 86. Yes, indeed. I couldn't even tell you what we were bringing to London for. Only here today the night I was bringing the name change in London. I just said, all I knew we were going to bring to London, so I just went on ahead for the track. But Bomber is the only man I seen in London frying bacon on an electric toaster. So that's the sort of nights we had, you know. I think we the shop a packet of bacon, and then we'd come back into just where we were staying. There was nothing to cook on, so you put on the electric toaster, 2 bits of bacon, and it doesn't know what way it come out or what way it left the toaster.
And at that time then, I was saying that the band was different. The band was progressive. It gained an awful lot of support. There was a lot of people walking behind the band. Even in my time in the band, we had some people walking behind, but was it right? Am I right in saying there was that many people behind the band? There had to be deacons to stop people from walking with their shoes and so forth. So listen folks, we'll hear from Robert again. If you want to give him a big clap, it's not easy to find. Ian Stockery, big part of Moneydig. No, we have a list here in order. You're all right. You're okay. I just want you to speak about the big drum. You're big girl here, Bertha. So, the heartbeat of the band is the bass drum. You played it with a real determination and an emphasis on volume. I remember turning around from the drum corps and seeing you dance across the street whilst not missing a beat. The energy in the band at that time was unbelievable. The hairs were in the back of your head. Whenever you were marching as a side drummer and you looked around and you seen us dancing across, literally dancing across the street, I mean the people were cheering us and it was something different. Again, in terms of the way the band was previously, it was something different. Whenever I used to come home from the parades, my dad, he used to stand at the Chronicle office in Korea, and that was where he stood for parades. And whenever I used to come home from parades, my dad didn't say to me, well son, did you drum well? How was the band fluting? He always used to say, well, was Enos in fine form tonight? And more often than not, I don't mind the night whenever he wasn't in fine form. But the band of previously, as we mentioned, played with 3 land-bags in the band. Land-bag drums all have their names. There's paintings in the front of them. When we received Big Bertha from Drummer Higgles, it was with the understanding that the painting of Bertha would be painted out. This was Enos's drum here. Well, I had painted the band crest on the drum, I put cannons below, and I put the name Roaring Meg on the drum. And I was emblazoned on it, but the band always referred to her as Big Bertha. Once a drum is named, it seems you just cannot change the name. So now we have our own version of Big Bertha back where she belongs. As you can see, Bertha is big, ugly, oversized, very loud, heavy and brash. The name certainly suits the drum. But what we want to hear from you this now, so give them a big round of applause. We want to hear from where inspiration to do the dance. How you started the band. I remember you telling me you had cymbals, but you were doing moves with cymbals under legs and stuff, I think you told me at one time, but maybe if you could just recall a bit your journey in the band and how the big drum.
You'd have told me I was going to a camera making my hair brush here. How are you, everybody? I didn't know I was doing this tonight. I thought I was going to have to answer a lot of questions, but anyway.
Just how you started, you know, what did you...
Well, before I joined Moneydig, I was in Ballygolly. But in them days, you were on the band, your dad was on, your uncles was on, the rest of your family. I wasn't allowed to join Moneydig or any band. But as many of you know, I moved to my granny's whenever I was, I don't know, 11 or 12. So then it became, wasn't living with my dad anymore. So 12 years old, thanks to Andy Bourne, Tornsnight, I had my first parade in Bush Mills, Giants Causeway. I actually played the cymbals for that first year, long way up there. And the dancing about, well, needless to say, there was less of me then.
But the cymbal players dance about back then?
The cymbal player, no, I danced about no matter where you could go, out in front of the drummers, on through the flag carriers, not so much on through the fluters, but you could all slap in the bait. I think it was Big Ware, Stephen Harden was playing the big drum at that time, and Walter Pickering. And you could all slap in the mouth, you know what I mean? I was afraid of the fierce slap in the mouth one night in Waterside, Coleraine. But
With the drumsticks, this done. With the drumsticks going back.
But then, Lamavati, I played the cymbals for winning parades anyway. Lamavati one night, my good friend beside me here. Many times we weren't that friendly in the band, were we? I think we're alright there. With no drummers. And I says I could drum. And he sort of looked at me and got me to drum a tune out. So then I was a drummer, and I drummed for a couple of years. Adrian was bandmaster then. We were at Dervick's parade. And we had no big drummer. Where didn't turn up. There was a Liverpool match, and I didn't tell anybody it was. So we had nobody to play the big drum, so I was at that stage, I think, 14, just before my 15th birthday. And that was the start. But I didn't just go into the big drum full time then. Played it a couple of nights. We were very near the end of the season now. Derby was near the end. So then the following year, I sort of was just a spare big drummer, if you know what I mean.
Did they have two big drummers in here?
No, at that stage then they were back down to one big drummer because Big Walter had left. He'd left for a couple or 3 years. So we'd only one big drummer, but the band was smaller then. So it was a change of times. The two big drums was done away with at that time, but then we brought the two big drums out then maybe on the 12th or 12th of August, so it was myself and Big Steve, the big wire. So then Stephen, he left. He decided he was going the other way, but anyway. So I then got the job at 15 of full-time bass drummer. It would be hard to count how many bass drummers I actually played with, and how many bass drummers has been through the band since I started. For a few years, I think maybe 4, maybe 5 years, I played the big drum myself with nobody. Even 12th of August, I can remember doing Scotland myself. I thought I was going to die. But then I started to get heavier, I started to get lazier. I think the first one they brought on to help me was SAS. There was quite a few. There was yourself played it for a while, Russell played it, Simon, quite a few back drummers down the line. I was still there, if you know what I mean. So I can honestly and truly say it was the Moneydig band that made me first true love. Nobody tells you that one. My first true love, to be quite honest, is sitting beside me. Here's Big Bertha. She was a heavy big drum, and nobody else liked Carnier because she was so heavy. But any time we took two big drums out, it was myself and Russell. I can honestly truly say, out of all the big drummers, very, very good big drummers, these were all first class big drummers. But I always say to play along with somebody else, Russell and me played exactly the same. I learned that. I'll have to tell you just a quick story about that. So the drum's really heavy. Eunice had mentioned that. And so many times I've seen them hit that drum on his own. And Richard now has got loads of videos up of 2004, 2005, where you can see Eunice on his own with that same drum. But the wee story I was going to say was just, I said to Eunice, I torture him all the time, two bass drums, big band out, 12th August, play the two bass drums out, bit of crack. And he said, that's alright, him and Russell would beat them together. And as he rightly said, nobody could do it like the two of them. So I had my dad standing at Craigavon Bridge, and I had him primed that we would go over where all the nationalist protesters were at that time. The dig would be big, would play loud, play proud, come back over the Craigavon Bridge, and Eunice would hand one of the drums to my dad. He was sitting at the end of the Craigavon Bridge at that time. Maybe you don't remember this.
Oh, do you?
So, my dad, he says to me, the band was going, he says, I could hear the band, he says, coming from Carlisle Road, down from the fountain. He says, I could hear them. You would meet bands against each other in the Craigavon Bridge. I could hear them, he says. Next thing is the band was coming up, and there Eunice always waved to the old boy. Eunice and Russell both waved the sticks up like this. They weren't for letting the drum be left at the Craigavon Bridge. They did the whole parade, drummed in unison the whole way round. It was a great 12th August. Sorry for interrupting you. Well, what else can I say? To be quite honest, my best friends was Moneydig band. My life was Moneydig band. As Sinead will probably tell you, because she'll never let me forget one night. Demi started broken in the back of the car, and I had to get geared to take her back home to Coleraine. But no, the band had to go on. But my best friends are definitely was Moneydig band. As I say, my life I lived for Moneydig band. But unfortunately then it come to the stage, just to be quite honest, I was getting too heavy, I was getting too loud, and I was getting too lazy. So I gave up. I think I played the big drum for, I think, 23 years of it. 23. So then I fluted the rest of the time in the band, I fluted. But I got to the stage then, ill health unfortunately. And I had to back in. But some of the best times I've had in my life, in fact, some of the best times I spent was on my knees in that dance floor, with Big Bertha. And some of that, to be quite honest with you, some of the things I had to give was actually Sparky. Because I struggled as a drummer. Whenever I played the side drum, I struggled big style. I couldn't play the side drum in the band now. So any new tune, Sparky would have drummed it in the Dashie's car. And that's how I learned the new tune. So I have to be thankful to Ivor. But anyway, all I can say is, the last few years, to be quite honest, I stayed in the band. And I know everybody's said something like this, I've stayed in the band. Probably because of Kenny McPhee. 2018 I couldn't go on any longer. But I want to dedicate this to the best bandmaster, the best man ever put a red uniform on. He was the most level-headed man ever I met in my life, because I think we were all bandmasters sitting here. And whenever I was a bandmaster, you were bandmaster too. You had this thing in your head, people had to do what you wanted them to do. But that was totally wrong. The band is voluntary. People's in the band because they want to be in the band. Kenny McPhee, if he asked you to do something, you were doing him a good turn, or at least that's the way I thought. If somebody had a row in the band, Kenny McPhee had that sorted out before that row was even finished. How he ever struck it was more than I'll ever know. So I just want to dedicate my wee part tonight to Kenny. Thank you.
A wee part tonight in this, but you played a massive part in the band. So let's give him one more big cheer there. It's hard to speak up here. Desmond Smith. As a 15-year-old schoolboy living in the Moneydig area, Des was excited about the formation of a new and youthful band. At the first band practice, Des was introduced to Sam Cole, who played tunes unheard of with a certain style. Des was proud to be bandmaster for several years and remains a loyal member to this day. We're going to pass you over now to Des. Give him a round of applause.
If we just go back a bit, there's a lot of stuff that's said here about the parades and that. Our first parade actually was in Garvagh, collecting money. We formed up out the Station Road at George McElroy's house. And at this time, there was no out-of-town shopping. So all the women came into the town on the Saturday evening to do their shopping. And we would come in that Station Road about 3 o'clock, and everybody just stopped on the street to see what it was. And they never seen anything like it. We were mad, completely mad. But that was our first connect. At that time, we knew we were making money. We sold tickets door to door on the Wonder Nights. We held shooting games nights, some down in Yankee Orange Hall, others down in McCosker Orange Hall. We used to do, for Hans Klein's old shop at the Garda Centre as now, we used to hold cake sales on a Saturday morning up there, and all the mothers of all the fellas in the band baked the cakes. And that's something that we missed here. Down through the years, the support we've had from our mother, from my own mother, from Pearl McPhee, Iris, Sassy's mother, Margaret Bradley, and then we used to go to the band parades everywhere. Then we was on the bus with you. And if you want, we used to go to the Donegal 12th. Then women had enough food in the bus to feed the sandwiches. Probably they had it. But that was our first parade. But we forgot to mention there that the first year we were formed, the Slay band over in Kilray district, they had the Lloyds had no band. So they asked Sam Cole with any chance of Moneydig. They were dedicating a new uniform out of the Slay Orange Hall. So they asked us to lead them, and if we did all right, they would take us in the 12th. So we led them out to the field, and they dedicated the new banner, and we're getting formed up in front of the Lloyds ready to move off again. But one of the fellows, Sammy Evans from Mahara, was missing. And somebody shouted, "Where's Sammy Evans at?" And the next thing, his head popped up behind a hedge. He said, "I'm coming now." He was lying entertained the girl behind the hedge. He jumped over the hedge with his trousers and his underpants under his arm, and ran in the middle of the band and put his trousers back on. Needless to say, he was taking tickets to the 12th of it. That was one of the cracks we had. The first year we were formed up, we were actually called Moneydig Young Defenders. And the second year, Sam Cole that time was up around Belfast, and he stood up for the Shankhill Young Conquerors. So Sam came to band practice at the start of the second year, and Sam said, "Look, boys, we've defended for 1 year, we're now Conquerors. So we're going to call the band Moneydig Young Conquerors." And that year we went to Mahara and bought the blue flared trousers. who could forget the blue flares. Not a great job on Monday day, I can tell you. But that's when we started off with money and that. The first 12th day, we went to Tobermore. Chief Smith was beating the big drum, and Buttons and him was on duty in Ballykilner, the UDR. We had no Lloyds anyway, but we couldn't go till they came back from Ballykilner. It was 12 o'clock before they got back. So we were all lying and lay Richards. The whole thing formed up, went up the street. The field was way up the top end of the town, and the platform proceedings were going as we came into the field. But Sam Cole said, play on, boys, play on. And we battered on past the platform. Wally Wilson was the district master here that time, and Wally Wilson said, that rabble will never walk in the Garvagh district again as long as I'm the worship of the master. And Wally Wilson's long gone now, and we're still going. For the second year, I say, we had no Lloyds again. Drummond Higgins had no band. They're tough as Ballycastle. Jim Martin, Button Smith, and Ricky Liberty were living in Ballinamore at the time, and they were approached to if the Moneydig would take them to Ballycastle, which we did. Now we landed Drummond Higgins around sort of 7:30 in the 12th morning, and there must have been 20 crates of beer waiting on us. And we read them up before we left. I went to Ballycastle, and we were down onto a wee bar, I'm sure Bobby will mind it, the Boyd Arms. And at that time, the toilets were all outside. And some of the fellas were down the backyard to go to the toilets, and they got up into this door, they spied a beer store. That was the drink store. So they kicked the door off them, and we were sitting upstairs, lounge. The next thing we heard they shout, boys, open the window. And they started throwing balls of vodka and what's going on. And we drunk free the whole day. But that's the thing that are true. The thing about 1977, we got the Gibby Lloyds, Albert Shirley, asked about leading them. We did work both ways because they had no band and we had no Lloyds. They said if you do a job for us, we'll give you the holiday practice and free of charge. The following year, 1978, there was myself, Mike Stewart, Rob McQuillan, Big Chiefy, Danny McPhee, and who goes? Ronnie Woods, all joined the Lloyds. And then from that day on, everybody else, if you remember Moneydig band, you joined the Lloyds, and we were really in the Lloyds, you'd give a pull. That was clear benefit to their benefit. But we're talking here about parades. Some of the parades we won't tell, some of the. But we used to go on buses, or money buses, or transit vans, Swindon and transit van, a works van, Big TV now works van, and you threw maybe 10 boys in the bagger, and that was your way to the parade.
I got that money in the money.
Maybe 10 in the money. We went to Ballymoney to a cancer parade in Ballymoney one night. There's maybe 15 boys from Tobermore and Amaran, the band. Sam Cole had a box of Viva, and he had maybe 8 boys in that, and the rest of them were standing. We used to form up at the filling station of the way in there on the left-hand side. We used to form on there and parade up the town before the council parade. But hey, that was crazy. Some of the parades we done was mad. I'm just thinking here, some of the parades we did. 1981, we did the third force march. This was the band weren't there as a band, but this is how the attitudes, people's attitudes have changed and loyalism. 1981, the third force march in Newton Arms, and it was a Monday night. I don't know how many of you here was at it, but there were 3 bus routes left here. Orange men from Garvagh, 3 bus routes left on Monday night to go to Tobermore to Newton Arms, and it was a real bad night. And we stopped at Ray, and there were 2 buses left to Ray. So there was 5 bus roads orange men. And 1981 was where you go, you wouldn't get 5 car roads to go now. So that was the attitude that people had now, the end compared to now. But the people's attitudes has changed a whole lot different ways. During the 70s and the 80s, when we were all involved in the band, was during the bad times and the troubles. And people stayed in their own areas. You know, the people didn't move out in their own areas. If you go up around Belfast, some of the people in Belfast didn't go to their own estates. their own houses. They weren't going to go to the Belfast because they were scared of the bombs. And that's why people all stuck together. But now they're a bit more free, people go wherever they want. And that's hurt. It's hurt Orange Lodges, it's hurt bands, and it's hurt pubs and clubs in them areas because people now moving out of them areas. But we're talking about some of the parades. The 1985 annual race agreement, Moneydig band decided to go and combat some black treasures. And we had a massive band. We took 2 bus roads out of here. There's a bus road from Turbulent. You couldn't see how many visitors we had because there were people joining from everywhere. There were people from Korea came up and flew for us, Ballymoney, M.Y.C.F.B, massive parades. But we also had the one we talked about in London there in 1986, where Paisley asked us to lead the protest march to Westminster. But we were told before we went to the parade, we were leading the Apprentice Boys group for South London. They told us that all the members of the Apprentice Boys would put us up in their houses. And we go up in front of one house. There's a 3-bedroom house, and the fellow and his wife is there. So the whole man had to sleep in 2 bedrooms. On the floor. Oh, hi. Yeah, we did some other big parades we did. I recall 1991, we done the Carson Trail to Stormont, and that was we must have walked 15 miles that day. But we did Paisley electioneering. We used to do a lot of electioneering for Jim McClure and bring the core in here. And remember the elections on your maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night. You did Arlington, Castle Rock, McCoston, and then you want to core in, and that was bloody relentless. So Paisley said, would just come up here and lead us around Ballymena. And we went, this must have been the 70s, the 77 or 78, I think it was. But we led Paisley around Ballymena, we must have walked everybody to stay on it. But at that time, but when we had, I'm not sure if there was one person behind Moneydig band, there must have been 500. And the good thing about it, whenever we were, everybody says we were trailblazers. We were the first band around this area to be called the Kick the Pope band. The Ulster Brothers and Boys started a couple of years before us. Miller was after us. The Parade and all them came after. The only other bands I know that was on the road before us was the Steeple and Underham and Dirty Lord. Well, I think we started in 75. But Paisley asked us to lead the parade round, and we led them around, and there must have been 10,000 people at it. And the platform was just outside the Dare Arms. But the good thing about it is they were putting the Moneydig band at that time, there was loads of girls following the band. And even undercovers ourselves usually got everything at the end of the night. That was one good thing about it. But the band progressed, and the band changed. You have to change with the times. Some people left, other people come in, and generation has. We're the 3rd generation here in my family. All the ones that have wheels are the 3rd generation. You know, that's the way the band keeps going. The liberties there, that's the way the band has to be kept going, because get young ones interested. And people here sitting here now, you're not members of the Orange Order. I asked you to join the Orange Order. And if you want to walk along with the band, if you can't walk with the band, walk with the Lords. I think we said this here. My brother Brian, who sadly passed away recently, Brian always said that he looked forward to the 12th of July more than any other day. And he said the reason he looked forward to the 12th of July was because he walked behind the best band in the country on the 12th of July at Moneydig Band. That was very well said. For some just a lot touching Kenny too much, but Kenny a brilliant fella. The work he did for that band, nobody will realise the work he did. It's up to us to keep that legacy going, to do anything that we can to keep the band going in Kenny's name. Thank you.
We could talk tonight for hours. We have a select panel, but people sitting out there, many have played a huge part in this band. Jordy Linton, Henry Kennedy, Sparky, all the Doughertys, too many to name. Peter, I mean, the Bornans, there's so many here. But it's just great that we're able to make a start, that we'll maybe hear more of these stories, because we haven't touched on the band went to Scotland a few times, the band, a delegation from the Lodge and the band went over, including Kenneth, went over to the Somme, and we had a great time over there, and the band laid a wreath at the Moneydig Gate. So we have so many other stories to tell, but we're very grateful to be afforded the opportunity this evening to make a start, to get it documented. I'm conscious of time, but I don't want anybody here tonight to think to themselves, I really wanted to know about this, I wanted to ask that question. So I'm going to open it up to everybody now. If you want to answer, if you want somebody specific to answer, or if you just want to put a question to the panel, please feel free to do so. Is anybody any questions they'd like to ask?
How Adrian McQuillan from number one, he fell off it.
Too many drumming, Georgie Bob.
My one went the wrong way.
You look for a button there. I'm born.
Any constructive questions?
How
much did McBurtha cost? What the band
Because I know a wee bit of the story of that there, because not the amounts that it cost. I'll pass the microphone over to Enos now. But whenever the band got it, it was the premise that McBurtha, the paint was painted out, it was just painted red, as I mentioned earlier. But that came from Drummahiggles, but Enos will explain all this. But there was a woman, the bass drummer that was in Drummahiggles was a chap, Brian. His mother's Lorna Davis, Lorna Toy. And every time that we came down the street, and she's no longer with us, every time she stood again, the same as my father stood in the same place in Praise, she stood at the same place in Ballymoney, just outside where that coffee shop is. At the top of the street, what's it called? Starbucks? Great, aye, that's it. And she'd have waved and waved to the band come down, and she was one of the first. We talked about the knitting club in Korean. She knitted the jumpers. She was one of the people that knitted the jumpers to get the band on the road. But Enos, over to you about Big Bertha.
How much was it cost?
There was a fella Ian Campbell worked to me at the time, and he was on Drummahiggles. I think it was all on Dougherty, is that right, Barry? He used to play the back drum for Drummahiggles, and then he left. And then the rest of the fellas, he was too heavy. So me being the fat boy, they reckoned I was the man for the job. So they approached me about buying it. So I knew I'd try before I buy. But unfortunately, the weekend we tried it out, there was a riot in Kilray, and the bus run out broke, and Bertha got kicked up and down the street. She's all right now, but she had to be fixed, but she wasn't paid for it. She was to pay £200, and I managed to get them, she had it down to £150 for the band. Bought her at that time, but then she had to be fixed, so she had to sit in oil for a while, didn't she? So I think it cost another £200 to fix her. So you'd be better maybe buying a brand new drum. But that's how Big Bertha would come about.
Anybody else have any questions?
Then Simon, then Smash Scott 6 years ago. We've not too many bands in this country. There's that many drummers in one family, but if I go for a band.
No, and would it be fair to say, so Sass has just basically said, for anybody that hasn't heard, the legacy of the Doughertys played the bass drum. Sass played it, I remember you playing it one night in Ballymena, where you were on your own, you were stuck, I don't know what happened that night. Russell, Simon, Scott, and I suppose, would it be fair to say that that legacy started with this man here?
That's my intent. That's my intent.
Set of sticks and the big man can beat her out for us.
If we had a set of sticks with us, I would say this could still give us a tune alright. Any other questions?
Well, so, our dad done digging, you were talking about digging, and this for days, I can't remember. What year did our dad do Deacon Days along with who?
Derek Troy.
Yes, that's right. What year was that?
That was there in 76, 77, I think.
Yeah, I mind dad doing Deacon behind the band.
We had some dodgy pole man too, because I remember my father telling me that I came home with the Moneydig drum, and I obviously, as I said before, I didn't know anything about the band, no YouTube clips, no videos, no nothing. I was in it because of Kenna. And my dad, he says, "John, he says, you're a good band." He said, "They could do with brushing up the pole man." He said, "The last time I was watching a parade there in Korea, the thing was going great. They put the window in the car. The pole man put the window in the car." He says, and he says he had to climb in and lift out and keep going. So he says, "It's a great band, but just brush up the pole man." Any other questions?
So we're up to a story about a wee story this a wee years ago. During an Orange Parade in Cookstown, they held it as now on a Saturday, and at that time used to be a Friday night. We went to the parade on a Friday night. Whenever we used to go out on a Friday night, my mother used to say, "What day will you boys be home? Sunday or Monday?" We went to Cookstown on the Friday night, and the bar that we used to drink in was called the Cover Room. It was once you were the wee down on the hill, it was their left hand side. It was called Multi, so it's closed now. But we were in the Cover on the Friday night, and drunk were there. We were back home to Sammy Wynn living in Meeting House Abbey in Mahara. There were 8 of us stayed there, drunk all day on Saturday. We had to go home on the Sunday, so we had no way getting home. So we said we'd have to film it. But we said we'd split into 2 groups of 3, so we had better chance of left home. But if we got to Swadra and we hadn't got a lift, we'd have to get the 6 of us walk through together. So we went through, we came up, we just turned the Uplands turn off, and there'd be car stop, and there was me, I think, and Giddy and Chiefy Smith, and the boy goes into the back seat, and he says, "He's heading after parade today, boys." And I thought the church service room were going to. He said, "No, we're just coming for one on parade."
Well, folks, I think we've heard from our panel, and I think we've had some great stories. As I say, it's the tip of the iceberg for the amount of stories of the band, but it's good to make a start tonight. So maybe just before we conclude, can we give them all a big cheer and a big clap? I would say we could all give them a song, but Sass was the man. Every band bus that we get on, we're logging everything here about the band. We need to get you to write down all the songs. Because any time we were in the bus, Sass, you always be sure that the songs were starting a bit of day. But to conclude, folks, as long as young loyalists do not forget the past and look proudly to their right to be British, all is well. As long as the dig is on the street with flags aloft, the freedom and right to self-determination for Ulster's Protestant people is assured. The band was formed to contribute to the preservation of our Protestant heritage. From this day forth, this is what we will maintain. Tonight is dedicated to the memory of Kenny McPhee, who helped to organise tonight and who is sorely missed. The band released, in 2 years' time, we have our 50th anniversary. But on our 20th anniversary, the band released a wee magazine. It was very informative. And there was a poem in it by Sam Cole. And we'll finish with just a poem. It was a note to M.Y.C.F.B. Onwards to victory, sea of red. Lift your banners, sons of Ulster, make them reach into the sky. When you're needed, never falter, not for you to reason why. March along, you valiant bandsmen, drums and music fill the air. Lift the spirits of your comrades, not for you sedate despair. Rest assured, youth won't be beaten by the foe within or out. Onward on your march to victory, fill the echoes, flute and shout. While youth serves you, sons of Ulster, do not fear the old men's slight. For the gallant boys of Derry shut the gates, and they were right. Thank you very much for everybody for coming. South Londonderry Development and Tyrone Development Group, but a mouthful that, have been doing some fundraising. They want to present the band with £500 that they've raised towards the band for this year. So if I could call upon Peter to come up and to Adrian to present them with the £500 and to thank them for that. Thanks very much for facilitating this. Thanks again, M.Y.C.F.B.